Hi friend, welcome to CivTech Simplified. I am Engineer Imran Aziz. I am presenting part 2 of our ongoing video series on transportation engineering. In this part 2, we will be presenting 25 multiple choice questions for your next exam. These questions would help civil engineers like you to prepare for the competitive exams, job interviews, and university tests. All the correct answers would be highlighted so that you could review them effectively. So let's get started with part 2. Question number 26. In the CBR test, the CBR ratio is usually determined for the penetration value of option A 2.5 mm, option B 5 mm, option C both A and B, option D none of the above. Question is about CBR test, California Bearing Ratio test. The CBR ratio is usually determined for the penetration value of 2.5 and 5 mm. So both A and as well as B option are correct. So option C here in this question is both A and B, which is the correct answer for this question. Question number 27. In the CBR test, the standard load value for 2.5 mm penetration is how much load is applied for 2.5 mm penetration. Option A is 1370 kg. Option B is 2055 kg. Option C is 2630 kg. Option D is 3180 kg. So option A is 1370 kg, which is the load applied for 2.5 mm penetration. So option A is the correct answer for question number 27, which is 1370 kg. In the CBR test, question number 28, the standard load value for 5 mm penetration is option A 1370, which we already discussed, it's for 2.5 mm. Option B is 2055 kg. Option C is 2630. Option D is 3180 kg. So here in this question, for 5 mm penetration, we apply 2055 kg of the load. Option B is the correct answer for this question. Question number 29. Indian standards for CBR test on soil is IS for CBR test on soil is option A IS 2720 part 12, option B IS 2720 part 14, option C IS 2720 part 16, option D IS 2720 part 18. In Indian standard for CBR test on soil is part 16. So option C is the correct answer for this question, which is IS 2720 and part 16. Option C is the correct answer. Question number 30. Harder the surface, option A, higher the CBR value. Option B, lower the CBR value. C, CBR value does not affect. Option D, no relation. So harder the surface, higher would be the California bearing ratio value. Option A is the correct answer, higher the CBR value. Question number 31. California bearing ratio CBR is a, what is CBR? Option A, measure of soil strength. Option B, method of soil identification. Option C, measure to indicate the relative strength of paving materials. Option D, measure of shear strength under lateral confinement. So C is the correct answer. The California bearing ratio is a measure to indicate the relative strength of various paving materials. Option C is the correct answer for this question. Question number 32. California bearing ratio CBR test is a penetration test meant for evaluation of option A, base strength of roads and pavements. Option B, subgrade strength of roads and pavement. Option C, both A and B. Option D, none of the above. So subgrade strength of roads as well as pavement is determined through CBR test. Option B is the correct answer for this question. Question number 33. The CBR test can be conducted for option A, subgrade soil, option B, granular subbase material, both A and B, none of the above. So both A and B are the correct answer. The CBR test can be conducted for subgrade soil as well as granular subbase material. So option C is both A and B, which is the correct answer for this question. Question number 34. Results for CBR test are used with the empirical curves to determine option A, thickness of pavement and its component layers. Option B, roughness of pavement and its component layers. Option C, durability of pavement and its component layers. Option D, none of the above. So the results from CBR test are used with the empirical curve to determine thickness of pavement and its component layers. Option A is the correct answer for this question. Question 35. In the soil classification, CU stands for CU. Option A, coefficient of uniform. Option B, coefficient of unified. Option C, coefficient of unconfined. Option D, coefficient of uniformity. So CU stands for coefficient of uniformity. Option D is the correct answer for this question. Question 36. In the soil classification, CC means, what is CC? Option A, coefficient of curvature. Option B, coefficient of curve. Option C, coefficient of curing. Option D, coefficient of casting. So CC means coefficient of curvature. Option A is the correct answer for this question. 37. In the classification of soil, plasticity chart is dash. In the classification of soil, plasticity chart is dash. Option A, plasticity index versus liquid limit. Option B, plasticity limit versus liquid limit. Option D. Option C is plasticity index versus liquidity index. Option D, none of the above. So A is the correct answer, plasticity index versus liquid limit. B was plasticity limit versus liquid limit. But A is the correct answer, plasticity index versus liquid limit is the shown in the plasticity chart. Question number 38. In CBR test, load is applied such that penetration rate is dash per minute. Option A, 1 mm. Option B, 1.25 mm. Option C, 2 mm. Option D, 2.25 mm. So in CBR test, load is applied such that penetration rate is 1.25 mm per minute. Option B is the correct answer for this question. 39. The CBR test can be made in the lab on option A, undisturbed sample. Option B, remolded sample. Option C, undisturbed and remolded sample. Option D, none of the above. The CBR test can be made in the laboratory on undisturbed as well as remolded sample. Option C is the correct answer for this question. Question number 40. Which of the following tests are done on the soil for the construction of road? Option A, box shear test. Option B, CBR test. Option C, plate bearing test. Option D, all of the above. So all these tests are performed on the soil for construction of the road. Question number 41. Los Angeles abrasion test on aggregate are done for the, why we do Los Angeles abrasion test on aggregate? Number A, for the hardness. Option B, toughness. Option C, durability. Option D, none of the above. So yes, A is the correct answer for hardness. We do Los Angeles abrasion test on aggregate are done for the hardness. Option A is the correct answer for this question. Question 42. In grain size analysis, soil texture is sand when the particles are. Option A, retained on 4.75 mm sieve. Option B, passes 4.75 mm and retain at 0.075 mm. Option C, passes 0.075 mm. Option D, none of the above. So B is the correct answer. It passes 4.75 mm and retained on 0.075 mm. Question number 43. In grain size analysis, the chart is option A, particle size versus percentage of passing, particle size versus weight of passing, particle size versus percentage passing, none of the above. So C is the correct answer. In grain size analysis, the chart is particle size versus percentage passing. Question 44. In grain size analysis, what is the full form of MSA? What is the full form of MSA? Option A, minimum size of aggregate. Option B, maximum size of aggregate. Option C, maximum size of asphalt. Option D, minimum size of asphalt. So in grain size analysis, remember the MSA stands for maximum size of the aggregate. Option B is the correct answer. Question number 45. The maximum aggregate crushing value permitted for bituminous macadam is option A 30%, option B 40%, option C 50%, option D 60%. The maximum aggregate crushing value permitted for bituminous macadam is 40%. Option B is the correct answer. Question 46. The aggregate is called high strength aggregate if the aggregate crushing value is option A high, option B low, option C constant, option D none of the above. The aggregate is said to be high strength aggregate if the aggregate crushing value is low. So definitely if the crushing value is low, it will be a high strength aggregate. Option B is the correct answer. Question 47. In the crushing value test of aggregate, number of blows given for each layer is option A 65 number of blows, B 55 number of blows, C 35 number of blows, option D 25 number of blows. So in crushing value test for aggregate, the number of blows given for each layer is 25 number of blows. Option D is the correct answer. 48. The aggregate crushing value for 10% indicates option A exceptionally strong aggregate, option B moderate strength, option C weak aggregate, option D none of the above. So if the crushing value of the aggregate is 10%, it indicates exceptionally strong aggregate. Option A is the correct answer. 49. In the crushing value test of aggregate, W1 is total weight of sample, WT2 is the weight of sample passing 2.36 mm sieve, and W3 is the weight of sample retained on 2.36 mm sieve. Then aggregate crushing value is dash. Option A W2 over W1 into 100. Option B W3 over W1 into 100. Option C W1 over W2 into 100. Option D W2 over W3 into 100. I will again read the question. In the crushing value test of aggregate, W1 is the total weight of the sample. Okay. W2 is the sample passing the sieve of 2.36 mm, and W3 is the weight of the sample retained on the sieve. One is the total weight of the sample, two is the sample passing, and W3 is the retained. So option A is the correct answer, which is W2 over W1 into 100. So W2 is this weight of the sample passing divided by total weight of the sample into 100. It gives the percentage value of the crushing value of the aggregate. So if it is less than the aggregate is strong, if it is more than the aggregate is weak. Question 50 and the last question for today's part. In the crushing value test of aggregate, load applied by compression testing machine in the test is how much load is applied through compression testing machine during crushing value test. Option A 5 tons per minute, option B 3 ton per minute, option C 4 tons per minute, option D is 6 ton per minute. So 4 tons per minute is the correct answer. In the crushing value test of aggregate, load applied by compression testing machine in the test is 4 ton per minute. So for 4 ton, the load is applied on the during the crushing value test of the aggregate. Thank you for watching this part of my video series on transportation engineering. I hope you have learned a lot. And these videos we already discussed that these are for professional engineers, for fresh engineers, for civil engineers who are preparing themselves for the competitive exam or any sort of the job interviews, whether it is for PPSC, FPSC, KPSC, or any sort of the state level test in India. Please subscribe to our channel CivTech Simplified. It is available at YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, as well as Instagram. So see you in the next video and keep sharing these videos. Thank you.